Welcome to Conversations with Manic and the Jerk. Today we have a very special guest, Mel underscore I run. That's the homie. Jerk, you got anything to say?
Yeah, nah, we've been wanting to do this for a while. We've been kind of wanting to do these like different kind of conversations in a smaller group. That way, there we could get to the bottom of things, have some deep discussions. And we've been rocking with Mel for a while. Mel has definitely a great story behind her. Very loyal, always been supportive of everybody. So, it's definitely like Manic said, man, a big moment for us just to get you up here. So we appreciate you, Mel.
Well, thank you all for considering me and having me.
Yeah.
Oh, we had to grab you first. But okay, hold on. Pull Mel up by herself, man. She got the hair did. She got the all purpose dress on. What Jody saying, baby boy? He was like, look, he got the all purpose dress. We see you, Mel. Oh, you gonna pull me up? I am. Shout out. I'm kind of looking fly, but let's go on and get Mel up there. How we pull her up? Let me
There we
look
go.
at Mel. Got her hair did. Look at Mel cheesing. So we got Mellow Mel today. Let me pull Manic up real quick. Go ahead, stunt Manic.
Hey, you know me. There we go.
Not
So
the
let's
lip.
turn us back to the major view. Sorry, thanks again, for showing up, Mel. And like I said, we definitely wanted to have this conversation with you. So go ahead. Where'd you grow up? And just give us some background on that. And we'll just try to jump into it.
A lot of people are surprised when they hear it. Like, I grew up in Vicksburg, Mississippi on a pig farm. I have 13 siblings and
13.
13.
You got to break that down. Like all boys or what's
So
the gender
we're
breakdown?
It's 7 and
Even?
7. It's 7 and 7. 7 boys, 7 girls. I fall in the kind of middle, but the middle on the younger side because it's like a gap between what we call our younger ones and the older ones. Like, I'm 34, but my older brothers and sisters are like in their 40s, so it was a little bit of break in there, and then I guess they went crazy again. So they got the rest of us.
So there's 14 of y'all running around on a pig farm.
Yes.
Okay, so now this is good. This is very good because I'm getting a visual right now, and I'm visualizing, them, doing it in the what people would kind of say the traditional route of where you have kids that can help out with the
Yes.
workload. So okay,
Yes. And
so y'all were employees. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, look, and it's
The
so
Mel was
crazy.
born with a W-2 and shit.
But honestly, I feel like I had to fill out the W4, W9 or whatever when I was like 4 because they had us out there working. But it was an actual working pig farm. We had pigs, we had horses, we had chickens. We had the garden, and that's where most of our food came from. And we grew up super poor. It was a lot of us, and we had land, but we were still poor. If that makes sense. So we rarely had like meat. So it was like a lot of like we just ate a lot of what we grew. We pickled stuff. We had like stuff where we jar everything. So I know it sounds weird because when I tell people that, it was like, you're how old? Because they liken that with the time in like 40s, 50s. And I was
Yeah,
born in
yeah. I'm getting like Amish vibes. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like 1960s. You had on a little like the little hat and stuff. You out there churning butter.
I used to make my own clothes to go to church.
Oh, for
And
damn. Okay.
I still sew to this day, and I still do like a lot of like what people will say like is like older stuff, but I still sew. I don't like to eat out that much. Like, I like to cook every day. I still have a garden. I built boxes because in Florida it's really sandy. So I built boxes and I bought dirt. I had them to bring it in to put in there so I could like have my garden in my backyard. So it's just still a part of what I do, and I like doing it. My kids love doing it. Thank goodness. So, and like, I still hunt. When I go back home, I'm excited to go hunting, to go fishing. And that's a lot of what I did when I was younger too. Like, just where we were, like I would leave home in the mornings, like on days when we didn't have that much to do. And we would go out to like the creek. Like, I'll take matches and a knife and we go in the woods all day. we we'll catch fish and we'll clean the fish and we would cook them. was out there, and we
So
just
what would you hunt?
Oh well, no, I'd like hunt. Like we hunt deer, rabbits, squirrels. We shoot possums. We didn't eat possums though because they're nasty, but we would shoot them. Uh, but yeah, but we had all.
You have tried a possum.
Yeah, she's like, shit, it was all right.
It wasn't so good.
Yeah. She's like,
We
the
let
meat was a
them-
little salty, but
Yeah, it wasn't so good.
Or gamey.
It's really tough, and it does like that's the only time I would say any meat that I feel like is game meat is definitely a possum. Yes, but I mean, I eat it if I have to.
yeah. So growing up with that many siblings, and like, I guess like is Mississippi is considered pretty poor, like under the rest, what they call it.
Yes.
How'd you guys like getting through like school and high school? Because you know how kids are, man. They pretty brutal, like making fun of people and stuff like that. How'd y'all kind of manage that?
We fought a lot. To be perfectly honest, because I definitely got picked on a lot. And my sibling, well, the first thing was like all of my siblings, they're have fairer skin than me. Like I'm not super dark skinned, but they had fairer skin, and they like so my mom is black and Asian, but I got my dad's like hair texture instead of my mom. So it was a struggle going through school because kids are very, very mean. But that's why I tell you anybody, that's why I got these hands from, because I had to fight my way. Not only did I have to fight at home, because me and my brothers used to fight all the time. Don't get me wrong though. We really used to go at it. But definitely in school, I got picked on a lot, but that kind of helped me build like a mentality where it doesn't matter what you say because you can't beat me in a spelling bee. And when I tell somebody that, like now it's funny that we're older, but I would just be like, it would always be somebody that was not as smart as me, or the teachers didn't like them as much because of course I didn't have the best clothes. I didn't have the best shoes. A lot of stuff was hand-me-downs, but I got to the mentality where it doesn't matter. I'm still smarter than you. And I was an athlete. I've been an athlete my whole life. So you can't beat me running. You can't beat me in a spelling bee. And you definitely don't want to see these hands. So you can talk. It's fine. And then sometimes I'd be like, I just get my brother to beat you up. And he would.
You say athlete. What was your sport of preference?
So I was an All-American in track and field in college. So track would be number one, but I also played basketball, and I still do play basketball. I play in 30 over league, just recreation, but I compete in track and field. They have what they call a Masters League. So the Masters, we have like 3 events a year, and Masters is over 30. And
yeah, it's a nice name for old people. That's what I was about to ask you. I'm like, they come up with these clever names now, like the Masters and the over 30 league. Like, just say old. That's what they need to do.
It's the old people league. It smell like icy hot. It's a lot of fun though.
It smell like Ben Gay in there. Y'all got like headbands and them little shorts and stuff.
Like literally, you see a lot of thighs. But
I'll pass.
What did you run? Would you run track in college?
Alcorn State University, and I did the heptathlon.
What was that? You got to break that down.
Okay, heptathlon
sounds Greek.
7, right?
It's the 7 events. Yes.
Okay.
So
it was like a javelin toss, and
it's the javelin, it's the high jump, the long jump, the shot put, the 100 hurdles, the 800, and the 200. So
800.
You know what? That's what I went to.
That's 2 laps around, right?
That's 2 laps. Yeah, I did that. I started running. When I first started running track, I actually I didn't really know where I fit in, so I did everything. But I excelled at like the triple jump, the shot put, and the 800, which is super weird because those usually don't go in the same category. Because with the 800, it's usually a middle distance, long distance runner that does it, but with the triple jump, it's usually a sprinter that does it. So that's kind of why, like when I went to college, my coach was like, okay, maybe we need to put you in this because you kind of can do a little bit of all of this. And throwers are usually bigger people, and I've always been relatively small. So, but when you on a farm and you wrestling with pigs and using the hole to clean out the garden because we didn't have the machines and stuff, you get a little strong.
Yeah, you had that country strength
Right.
going on for you. I'm kind of believing you now when you were saying you could bench 225 or 215. I might believe you now. First, I
Yeah.
thought you was capping.
No, it's always
I still don't believe it. I don't
You
believe
still don't
it.
believe in Manic?
No, no. Until you. Matter of fact, next time you go to the gym, post a video. Post a video of you with 245 plates on each side.
okay.
At one time.
I got you.
Tag me in it.
I got you.
Make me a believer. I want to believe. I want to believe, Mel.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Like the
So from high school, where'd you end up going to college or the military? I know you mentioned the military before. So where'd you go into first?
So I did both. So when I was a senior in high school, I did have scholarship offers to go to school, but it kind of took a back seat for two reasons. Um, my grandfather, he served in the Air Force. He did 28 years. He's passed away now. And my uncle, he
Sorry to hear it.
Army before. And it's like I kind of wanted to do that. And I was like, there's something that, maybe in the future. And I knew I was going to college and I wanted to go to college. But just seeing my family struggle, I was like, I need to make money. So my senior year in high school, I talked to my dad and mom, and I was like, I want to go to the Army. And my mom was like, okay, go. And my dad was like, no, he wouldn't sign. And I was like, well, Dad, I'm 17 now. I'll be 18. So even if you say no, when I turn 18, I'm going to go. And at this time, like my sister that's closest in age to me, her name is Melvina. She had one child that she was not taking care of. She had her, and she knocked on the door one day, and I answered the door, and she handed me the baby and just walked away. So I raised my nieces and my nephew, because she ended up having 3. I raised all of them. So it was like I have to financially figure out how this is going to work. So my dad eventually gave in, but he told me I have to join the National Guard, and he still want me to go to college. So I joined the National Guard, and I was going to school, but then I had an option, an active duty option. So I took the active duty option, and I went to school at night. And so I was AGR for a few years, and then believe it or not,
It's AGR for.
So I'm sorry, it's Active Guard Reserve. So I just worked at a National Guard unit, but I went every day like I was active duty. We did PT on our own. It was super cool. It was super relaxed. I actually really liked it a lot. So I was able to.
This is why you were raising 3 kids.
Well, it was 1 and 2 then 3. So
yeah, 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I was able to stay. I'm from Vicksburg, so the unit I was staying at was like maybe 30 minutes away from home. So I was still relatively close. So it actually worked out perfectly. And I was going to school at night. And then I was approached one night when I was working out. I was actually on the track at Alcorn, and the colonel from the ROTC program approached me, and he was just like, somebody told me that you're in the National Guard. And I was like, yes, sir, I am. And then he was like, have you ever thought about going officer? And I was like, absolutely not. That old enlisted officer thing. And then he was just like, well, I just come talk to me tomorrow. He was like, I was like, I'm AGR, and I explained my whole situation. He was like, it is an option we possibly could have for you, where you can still receive your active duty check, but you'll go to school full time, and you won't have to go back like to your like regular AGR job. So I went to him, talked to him, and then like within 2 days, I was enrolled in ROTC, and I went over to the officer side. So
that's pretty cool, man. How it lined up like that. So before you went to the ROTC route, what kind of grades were you making? Balancing, the military life and going to school in the evening. Was you doing pretty good, or?
Well, no, I didn't sleep. I was a double major. So I was majoring in secondary education, and I was majoring in history. So I was a double major. And I tell people all the time, when I went to college, I feel like I didn't sleep because I still was doing net. I was AGR, and I still had a part-time job too. So I slept when I could.
Nah, that's hustling at its
farm-raised work
finest.
ethic.
Oh yeah, nah. When I went in the military, it was all partying for me. I couldn't done both, so I took my hat to you on that one.
Yeah, it was crazy, and that's why I said like just being AGR, it like we really when I actually went on active duty after I became an officer, it's like I saw the difference between AGR and just regular active duty, like the late hours and all the other stuff. Like being AGR, we really was like 8 to 4. We in and we out. We know when we come in, we know when we leaving. It's no area. So it was really cool though. But I worked part-time at a shoe store for my godmom and my godfather. So they looked out for me.
So once you kind of got through all that, and you went full-time officer in the military, how was kind of that transition?
It was fun, but it was kind of tough. I will say that. I went transportation, which transportation leads into logistics, and that's overall what I wanted to do. But honestly, being a female officer and also being a Black female officer, it was just hard. I was not a part of the good old boy club. And I don't want to say like like most Black people say that or women say you have to work 10 times harder. It's that a lot of people come in a situation when they deal with females or Black females too. They come in a situation thinking certain assumptions, so it's like you have to almost build that reputation and that camaraderie before they actually care about how you work. But I've always got unique assignments, and like I'm so appreciative of that. So my first assignment, I worked in the only fuel supply company that's still in the Army. And so we would fuel planes, and we worked with like the Canadian Army, the Russian Army, whoever else. I did a lot of special missions. We did humanitarian missions like Hurricane Sandy, things like that. And then I was in the only boat battalion in the Army at Fort Eustis, and I was there as I was part of the operations unit. So I've had unique opportunities. I worked under 82nd, so I've had a lot of unique opportunities. But it was just a lot about like building a camaraderie before they actually know exactly how you work and how you operate. And so, and and that always just blew my mind. It's like, because like, my background, how I work, you've seen how I work, you've seen my resume before you see me. So why do I have to come in? I have to be your friend first. But I always got them to do weird stuff. Like when I would talk about like me cooking or like little stuff, like one day I told the office, I don't know why, we were talking about Kool-Aid pickles. And I think I was talking to my mom about it. And it was like, what's a Kool-Aid pickle? I'm like, you never had a Kool-Aid pickle? I'm like, I'm bringing something tomorrow. So I literally did the Kool-Aid pickles and I brought them in. Everybody was like, wow, like, what is this? I'm like, man.
Yeah. Food never hurts. So real quick, what would you recommend other females coming into these type of lanes, and how would they like integrate themselves and build those relationships like you did? Because I think that's a key thing that you mentioned.
So the first thing is know what you're talking about before you say it, and don't say things just to make yourself look good. Don't try to beef up your resume or yourself or anything like that. Just know what you're talking about. And I will say this, another big thing, a mistake that I've seen made time and time again: do not sleep. Well, don't sleep around. Like,
You said don't sleep with the coworkers. Yeah, that's key. That's men and female advice. Like, let's leave that alone.
Leave that alone. I mean, I know everybody's talking about this could be my soulmate. It's probably not the person that's working in the cubicle next to you. Okay. But honestly, just be yourself and be okay with being yourself. Like, I've never like tried to change like how I speak. I've never tried to change my vernacular. Like if I use slang about something, I'll explain it if you don't understand it. But I've always been authentically me. And a lot of people will tell me like sometimes they don't think like you grew up in Mississippi, because if you hear me talk and my sister talk, it's like you'll be like y'all grew up in the same house, because her accent is much thicker than mine. But I've just been to like different more places than her, because she's never left home. But when I go other places, like they can hear my accent, and I mean it's fine with me, but I just don't change who I am. I don't change my morals, and I keep my morals high. And that's why like that sleeping around thing is like such a big thing, because honestly, that really leads to nowhere, because I could sleep with whoever. However, do I know how to do this job or do this mission? Or do I know how to start like even my businesses? I mean, if I just wanted to get money from somebody, like I tell people all the time, I could date a dude that has money, and that's fine. But what can I do? And then, it just magnifies with me having children. What can I teach them? So just be as well educated as you can on. And I know like with commission officers commission officers are ones that because I know a lot of people won't know the difference. So commission officers, we're in a sector, like I was transportation, which led into logistics. And that's a broad area. Whereas a warrant officer, they're specific, they're a subject matter expert. So, and they're specifically, it's one thing, one lane, well, not necessarily one lane, but like just one field of study. So when I would have certain missions, what I would do is, or certain things to do, I would go to my warrant officers, my non-commissioned officers, which is the enlisted, and I would like pick their brain, but I would study up on that. So everybody thought I knew a lot, and I didn't. I knew at the time, because I went to them and I was like, okay, tell me everything you can about this mission, how it goes in the past. And I would get in the books and like read it. So when they asked a question, I knew it, but I didn't just know that stuff. It's too broad. Logistics is so broad. Like,
so now that's a good leadership tactic right there. Manipulation and a little bit of finessing, huh?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say it's manipulation. I would just say it's
there's nothing wrong with manipulation.
It's using my resources wisely.
Yeah. Because it takes time. It takes time to open those books and do that research, and most people aren't going to do that. So it's like it's not really manipulation; it's going above and beyond to be well versed in whatever subject that you're going to be covering. So that's just hard work right there.
Yeah, and I would always do stuff like I'd be like, I know you like that banana pudding I had made for like our last little social. I'll make you one. I got to talk to you about some stuff, So
manipulation.
Hey,
Mel, you were doing so good.
yeah, Mel. I told you I was like I was like 1, 2, 3. I was giving it a countdown.
A little snack never hurt. And no, but honestly, I think one of the biggest things that has always served me well in my life is to always be humble and never forget where I come from. Like, no matter how much money I made, no matter how many properties I buy, no matter what I drive or anything, I do not treat anybody as an inferior. I treat everyone the same, and I try my best to always help people. And being humble is honestly been like served me so well. Like, I've never had, like in the military, like you'll hear these stories about sometimes people having trouble with subordinates or people that are above them, or they having trouble with it. I've never had that. And I still talk to a lot of my former soldiers, and they was just like, you were like the best leader that we ever had, because even when I was enlisted, I made the E6 list before I went over. I never got pinned E6 because I went over before that. But I've never had any issues, and everybody was like, you just treat us the same as anything else. Like, even if they're cleaning something, I'll clean with you. If you have like a stupid extra duty or something but I don't want to say stupid. Something like sometimes stuff doesn't make sense.
You don't want to do.
You got to do it. You don't want to do it. Yeah. Like.
So Mel, how long were you? I don't mean to cut you off, but how long were you in the service?
So I served 12 years, 6 months. And the reason that I was retired early is because I suffered overseas, and I got a traumatic brain injury. I have I got shot, and I was suffered an IED blast. So
Damn.
Yeah,
I think
she
we
got
got to go
Jane
into
out here.
that.
I
I'm
have
educated
all
about
the original parts. Thank God I have all the original parts.
Let's
But
see your hands. Hold on. Let me see both hands. Put them up for the camera. You got two hands. I'm
so
not gonna make you stand up, but
but yeah, I
So
have
could
all
you,
the
like, and I don't, if it's traumatic, don't do it. But can you like explain that event, how it led up to like that situation?
So I worked with 82nd, but it was just something that was normal. We were just it was a route that was supposed to be clear, and I was going along because logistics officer, I was just making sure everything was where it was supposed to be at, and everything that we were taking with us, made it, and it was enough. And we just were driving along, and it was a small like a small attack, what they would consider a small attack. It wasn't anything large, but the route was supposed to be clear, and it had been clear. It was a route that we took often, but it was a little ID, and truck, my truck, which was in the middle, which is where I'm supposed to be. It hit that, it went up, it went down. I blacked out for a second, but like it's like when we went up, it's like I had grabbed my gunner. And so when we went up and went down, I don't know if our heads hit or whatever, but I blacked out for a second. And then next thing I know, people are shooting. I'm pulling somebody out of the truck, and I'm trying to get him undercover. I didn't even know I was shot until after. And everybody was okay. We didn't lose anybody. We made it back. It was just, it was surreal, honestly. It's something that I never expected to happen, especially me just tagging along to go with you guys to just make sure everybody had what they needed. But it was a special.
you had a weapon on you. You had a weapon
Yeah,
on you.
of course. And
I don't know. I didn't.
I can't go into too specific because I have an indefinite NDA.
Okay. Yeah, we're out there. Dang,
But
you took a bullet. Hold on. He took a bullet. Got the IED hit. The truck went up. That's
yeah,
probably a roller coaster, the craziest roller coaster of your life with no guarantee.
But
yes,
like when you're driving in the trucks too, it's not like you're, a lot of times you might not be at the ready. So it's just like when you get
yeah,
hit with
and
those
I
type
was
of things, you're kind of scrambling, trying to get your composure. You're checking for other people. So it's just,
yeah,
like she said, when bullets are flying by, it's hot as hell over there too. So
right.
you got to add all that stuff in, and it's just chaos. You can
And
never
I
really prepare for those type of
yeah, we
events.
have on all our equipment. Like we were joking. They was telling some probably jokes that probably get them in trouble with EO, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Those were jokes.
because it was all men. Like I was the only female too. So, but yeah,
I mean,
made sure they were-
that's good. Ultimately, that everybody
yeah,
survived. No lives were lost, and thank you for your service.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Everybody
and it's crazy. Like when my students or some of the people I coach, they ask me, "Have I ever killed somebody?" I'm like, "Why? Like, why do y'all ask me these questions that you don't want to know the answer to?"
Yeah. It's like you don't ever answer that question.
Did you ever get the stupid question, Mel? Like, does bullets hurt? Like,
Yes, they were like,
listen.
"You got hurt," and I was like, I just was like, is a is a pig pussy fat?
Yeah, some crazy stuff. People start asking you. That's why a lot of times I never really talked about a lot of stuff. I try to keep that side because, like sometimes rehashing some of that stuff, like you said, you just don't even want to kind of talk to it. So I definitely appreciate you, sharing that information. So when you did come back and get through that whole incident, how did you kind of like, I'll say bounce back to regular life and get through that? Because I know like, you got to rehab and stuff like that. There's a lot of that going on.
So rehab, I actually still go to rehab. I do still have some residual because because it was my hip and my shoulder. Like my right side is like the side that hurts. So I still go to therapy, physical therapy, but I also still go to regular therapy. And I am a big component of mental health and like actually going and talking about it, because I did have a time where I self-medicated with alcohol. Like I've never done drugs or anything, but I would drink a lot just to get to sleep. And that's the only sleep that I could get without having nightmares. And it's just like the only thing that I knew. Like I would go to work and I would act like everything was okay. And as soon as I came home, like sometimes even before work, I would take like a couple shots just to go into work and to be around everybody. During lunch, if I went somewhere or whatever, I might have like a cute drink, like a Long Island or something. When I got home, I'm drinking because that was the only way I felt like I could get through. So it was like, and then I just finally got to the point where I was like, okay, this is not going to work. I have to do something. So I did seek mental health, and that has been a saving grace. And I have a therapist, and I talk to my therapist, and I even like growing up the way I did in Mississippi, and I didn't have the best childhood. First of all, I was 14 of us, and we were poor, and we lived in like a very, very small house. Like I said, we had land, but we didn't have a lot of money. And then just things that go on with, I hate to say it like this, but with poor, uneducated people in a household, as far as trying to think of the right way to say it, because I don't want to trigger anybody.
Yeah, I think we get where you're going with
Yeah,
that. Like it's I'm gonna throw you a throw you a bone.
Mel about to throw him under the bus. Like, look,
No, like, your family, your mom and dad. I'm sure they did the best that they could with the resources that they were provided,
yeah,
and you are a living testament. And not everybody will be successful. I mean, under those circumstances, but you know,
yeah.
out of 14 kids, even if you are the one, not to say that you are, I'm sure. I'm not even going to speculate, but the fact that you were
Tell you
able
the
to,
truth, none of them ain't doing nothing. I ain't gonna even lie about it, and they know they not doing nothing.
but you were able to make it out, and you were
I
able
make
to
it out.
learn those lessons, and take that work ethic that you probably established at an early age, and get it cracking out here in real life. So my next question is, once the military thing was over, and you said you were self-medicating, trying to just get through life, going through therapy and whatnot, and uh, were you in school at this time?
Um, when I was self-medicating, or like after.
No, no, after, because you said you were in school, and then you were also doing the ROTC program. So did you
Yeah.
graduate
Oh,
and
okay.
then go into the military, or
So,
did you?
oh yeah. So once I graduated, I was selected for regular Army, and then I got my first selection, which was transportation. So I went away right away. Um, so I finished those 2 degrees, and then I went to Fort Lee for my original training, and I was one of the lucky ones that I only got Fort Lee for school. I was stationed there. So it was my first duty station, and my first order of business was to pursue a master's degree while I was active duty. So I finished the first master's degree in 2014, and that was in education. And then I went on to pursue another master's degree in psychology and another master's degree in leadership. And then I started my doctorate in sports psychology.
Damn.
yeah, boy, you.
So you served the country, got 3 master's degrees. We got 2 bachelors, 3 master's degrees, and a doctorate
Yep. Like I
in
do nothing else I can study and write some
sports.
papers.
Okay, so that's a lot of discipline, dedication, and a lot of hard work, is what I'm hearing. With
Yeah. So I like
did
I
you get
told
that? Did you get that PhD like while you were in the military?
I
Or
started it while I was in. I finished it after I had my son. And I had
so
my son. Yeah.
after you
So
got out?
after I got out, yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
it was a big thing. Like I was, pound my chest a little bit. But so yeah. So I was married for 7 years. And it's just I just wanted to do everything, and I didn't want to limit myself. I know it's a lot of talk about the traditional woman and everything, and even with me going to school, being active duty and everything, I still took care of the house. I didn't always finish the laundry all the way, but I would wash and dry it 3 to 5 days to fold all the clothes.
It's like I'm not Superwoman,
Yeah.
you know. Even though bullets don't take me out, I'm
Still not doing that
IEDs.
laundry all
It
in
was
one
little.
day. Still not doing all the laundry in one day. but I would but yeah, I still cooked, cleaned, made sure he was good. And I think one point that I don't really kind of like what people like always highlight is if you're doing everything, a man won't cheat on you or a man won't divorce you. It's not true. It's totally not true.
I agree with you. Hey Mel, we gonna get all into the relationship dynamics as soon as we gonna give you the time. We gonna go into this, but it's about you right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to highlight your successes. Mel try to go right to the relationship stuff. That's what I'm talking about, Mel. Being authentic.
Yeah.
Now there was one point you made earlier about being authentic at work and stuff. I want to just let you know, when I'm at work, I sound like Carlton Banks. I'm switching it up. I'll be coming out with bagels and stuff. Don't play with me, Mel. No, but that's a lot of school and stuff like that. So, like what Manic's hitting on, like, did you have a lot of like downtime for yourself? And
I practice, and that's why I said like I'm at the point now where I'm just starting to get like a full night's sleep because I'm accomplished a lot. My kids are getting bigger. And so I'm able to kind of like do a lot more self-care. But even then, I did still make time for what I like to do. Like I always make time for the gym. I always would I would designate like a day when I would do like just even all like my skincare routine and like my nair or whatever. Because, just like this is my time. But what honestly would change that for me, when I was in college, we had a gas station on campus at Alcorn. And there was a lady there, Miss Sophia, and she's passed away now. But I went to the gas station, and it was like a little convenience store. It had everything. But my friend from my hometown friend, her name's Amanda, she was sick. And so I was going there. I was getting like bleach, Lysol, soup and stuff. I'm like, Amanda's sick. I'm going to go clean her room real good. I'm going to get her some soup and stuff. And then she asked me, she said, do you ever like do anything for yourself? And I was like, yeah. And I was telling her, I do something. She's like, no. She's like, what do you do for yourself on a daily basis? And that was a hard question for me to answer because now, mind you, I'm still active duty. I'm running track. I have all these classes. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm getting smarter. She said, what I want you to do is like every day, take an hour for yourself. She said, I don't care if you sit in a room by yourself and don't do anything, if you watch a show you want to watch, if you go for a walk, but take an hour for yourself every day. And she was like, start doing that. And that changed so much for me. That was my sophomore year. And I really thought about what she said. And I was like, let me take this hour for myself every day. So even now I practice that. Even with my kids, I practice, this is mommy time. Like, y'all are good, y'all ate, y'all fed. And sometimes after they go to bed, but I practice that, just taking at least an hour for myself every day and doing something just for me. So, I mean.
Mel, I take a good 5 hours. I think you're shorting yourself.
I take at least an hour. Some days I do get longer, but I take at least an hour every day and just do something just for me.
I got a question. I got a question for you, Mel. Before kids, what drove you to want so much more out of life? Because from what I'm hearing, you didn't take the traditional route of just going to college or choosing the military. Like, you did the military and then went officer. You did college and then did college more, and then you just kept going to like the higher and highest like elite levels. Like, what drove what was the motivation behind
And you
that?
never took a handout.
Yeah.
I couldn't so like I told you, I have older siblings, and the way that I grew up, I was not satisfied with that. And I refused to go back to that, and I refused to live in that. And I couldn't go back. I had to leave Mississippi. I knew like where I was and like just all of that. I knew that I needed to leave. But also I saw my older siblings, and a lot of them like had kids when they were young and stuff, and the way that they struggled. And I was just like, I'm not living like that. And so it was just like, I want to do something better. And I wanted to make my mom, my dad, my granny, especially, because my granny is my best friend. I just like it. I want to make them proud. Like my granny, she like instilled so much in me. And my granny, she stopped going to school when she was around 9 because she was taking care of the kids then. And my granny is now, she's almost 90. So of course it was a different time, but she was still so educated. And she taught me like to read when I was 4. And she would always put a book in my hand. She would always like, she would do stuff that I think that didn't matter, but now it's like important. Like we would watch Jeopardy together and try to answer the questions together. You know, like it would just be stuff like that. But she always like, she was just like, you know, you have to be smart. Like she just pushed me so much. She was like, don't. And then when I was young, like when I was just becoming a teenager, somebody told me, it was like, when you grow up, you're gonna have a nice little figure. It'll be, I'm trying to think the way he said it. He was like, it's like you cute enough, you'll be good enough to lay on your back or something like that. And I was just like, I'm like 13. And
was this?
Weirdo
Hold
shit.
on. Yeah, hold on. This wasn't a family member, was it?
No. It wasn't a family member. No.
Manic making this shit all awkward.
No.
Yeah, that guy was a weirdo though.
Yeah, that's straight weird.
But no, just hearing that and like, you know, just thinking like, is that really like all that you think that I'm gonna be good for? Is that? And at this time, yeah, I'm a teenager, but I wasn't even thinking about that. That was the furthest thing from my mind. But I was just like,
so use that as that's like a little bit of motivation fuel.
Yeah.
Drive. Okay.
And when I go back in, his old ass is still at that damn same gas station. I just look at him. I'm just like, yep, that's all I was good for.
No, I think it's good, especially as someone with such a unique story as yourself. I don't know too many women who have, you know, their PhD and they're, quite frankly, their shit together. I know you mentioned properties with an S.
Yeah, she flexed a little bit. I caught that, man. Mel, tell us about the bag. That's what I was about to ask. We don't want you being humble no more. We need you to flex a little bit. I know it might be a little uncomfortable.
Don't put too much of your business out there, but it's properties.
Yes. I'm pocket watching over here.
So I have my t-shirt company. It's not just t-shirts. I do other stuff. I do cups and all that other stuff. I have my nonprofit, and that's what I've really, really been working on that a lot. And that's where I help veterans and student athletes get to college or the next level if they want to go to trade school or just transitioning from, you know, their old life to a different life. Because I know it's a hard transition. There's a lot of stuff you don't know. And then, and so I have, right now I'm in the Florida house, but I do have the
Florida house.
Yeah, I have a home in Georgia, but I'm currently getting ready to purchase another home in Georgia, but it's going to be like a home. So I'm thinking of, well, I'm not going to sell any of my properties, but, you know, doing something different. But yeah, I'm getting ready to buy a bigger house in Georgia. So
expanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Expanding the real estate portfolio. That's how you got to talk, man. Talk your shit.
Yeah, you got to get up on the lingo. Mel over here, man. We can get you up to speed. Mel, we got you.
Yeah. So, AKA Mel's expanding her real estate portfolio.
Just a little bit. And then I'm also in some townhouses here for sale in St. Augustine. And if you ever been to St. Augustine, Florida, it's the oldest city in the nation. So it's super touristy. So I'm in the works to purchase a townhouse here. And it's just going to be a complete Airbnb. But when my other Airbnb properties, they pay for themselves like in a week. So it's working out pretty well.
Yeah, we might have to get you on here doing some courses and stuff, how to break this stuff down and stuff. Nah, you a wealth of knowledge. So one thing you did mention earlier, because I know we were talking about, before we jumped on the live about the coaching.
Mhm.
So you're also doing that on top of like running all these businesses. You got your, the veterans, the charity stuff,
Mhm.
and you're a coach also.
And raising a
Yes.
mother, like raising.
Yeah.
So I do coach and train. I've been doing that. I honestly started coaching when I was like 15. Like my second job was at the YMCA, my first job ever. And I had two jobs even when I was 15. I worked at the Waffle House and I worked at the YMCA. So I started coaching then, but that's when I developed my passion for coaching. I was already an athlete, but I just developed that passion. And
Just
so
basketball coach. This is
uh,
basketball coaching.
no, I I've actually, well, right now, like my focus is basketball, and I kind of live in a mini man cave. Like, you know how people have pictures of like art and stuff? I have jerseys on my wall. So
But okay, so your first coaching job when you were like 15, what were you coaching?
I started coaching t-ball and football.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it was kind of like just we need somebody, and then it was like I got more interested in it. So I have coached baseball, track and field, basketball, football, defensive side. And yeah, that's it. But yeah, I've tried.
Just most
Yeah,
of the sports, but that's it.
so I've tried my hand at everything, but I do have a full court at the Florida house in the backyard. So full basketball court in the backyard at the Florida house. So basketball has really stuck. It served me well. So I started out coaching boys, and I have a very successful AAU program. I had 5 teams, but uh, in 2021, I had to take a step back. I had a rare breast disease, and I was just having a lot of trouble with it. I was in and out of the hospital a lot. They didn't figure out what was going on for like 3 months. And then when they finally did, they still didn't know how to treat it because it's very, very rare. They ended up with a panel of doctors. And of those 7 doctors, only 2 of them had ever seen this before. So, and they had to actually go back to the book and look it up. It's like, I think it's this. And then everybody kind of agreed. And then when they finally, I guess, came to a consensus, that's what they diagnosed it as. So I'm good now. I'm in the clear. Of course, we're still monitored. But yeah, it was a lot of surgeries. I had with that, I think I ended up having like 13 surgeries on my breast. So I had to take a step back for a little while, but now I'm all the way back in.
So add
So
that
would
to
you say going through that was probably, like worse with all those surgeries than the military incident going through that?
I think so, because it was very unpredictable, and the fact that they didn't know what was going on, it's like you know what to expect when you're in the military, when you go on certain missions and stuff. But with this, like some days I would wake up and my breast would be like 3 times its normal size. Like I couldn't wear shirts. Like I would like have to just drape something over me and like hold it out here to like go to the hospital or something like that. And then sometimes I would go to the hospital and I'd be like, oh, it's not that bad. And they'd be like, you have to have emergency surgery today because of this, or so it was just very unpredictable. And I was really scared during that time. And during that time, I was also going through my divorce. And, with the kids, everything, it was just scary because I didn't, I was just going through, it was really tough. It was really tough. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Hey, so you defeated getting the whole
War.
Systemic granulomatous mastitis, something like that. I probably said it wrong.
Is it a form of cancer or something?
It's not, but it's a
Oh, okay.
mass. So I still do have a mass in my breast, and it'll probably always be with me. If they take it out, which I told them just take the whole, like I literally said, I'm like, bro, just take the whole titty. I don't care. I still got one. They don't want to do it because I'm so young. So there's like, you could live with it. It's okay. And they monitor it, but it's still
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
But no, that's a blessing. I mean,
Yeah, you're a fighter, Mel. Shoot.
I don't know how spiritual you are, but I mean,
Oh no. Yeah, it is. And
God definitely wants you to be here so you can share your story and share your passion, your ambition, and your leadership. So That's excellent that you're out there in the community able to coach and teach people how to not just through sports. I'm sure
Yeah.
all the coaches that I've ever had, they've not only helped me with the sports, but they've also dropped some major jewels that I've been able to take in life. So I'm sure you're doing the same to everybody who is under you. So
Yeah,
that's
I like to think so. A lot of my kids, and they know they can come and talk to me about anything, but I just like, even when they come and we talk, or they sometimes they'll call me, it's like, Coach Mel, what you doing today? And like, can we come by the house? And then, they'll just come talk. I was cutting the grass the other day, and one of my kids called me.
Oh man, cutting this grass again.
I'm like, cutting my grass. But one of my kids called me, and I'm like, why is he calling me? And he literally was pulling up to my house. He was like, I was just close. I was over in this subdivision. And he was like, I just wanted to come by and see you. And things like that. It's like, I know, like, I must be doing something right. Like, yeah. So, I mean, I love them, and they know I love them, even I don't forget their birthdays or anything. And, I'll check in on them. And even when they get out of line, their parents will call me, and it's like, I'm gonna call Coach Mel. They're like, oh, no, don't call Coach Mel, because they know I'm gonna get on.
Nah, definitely. I like what Manic was saying, and I know you have to be doing that because I could just look back at myself, and my coaches. I could say, man, they helped save my life. That sports gave me structure, gave me that. I learned how to build those relationships with people early. So I don't think parents understand how critical sports are to like kids and stuff like that, is grooming them for bigger things and stuff like that. So you're definitely making an impact, just not in that area, just all the other stuff. Like Manic said, you just even, telling us the story is definitely impactful and stuff like that. Cause I know we had talks before, and, you always had that impact with us. So
yeah, and that's
let's go ahead and dive into that relationship part.
I was just about to ask Jerk. I'm like, hey, Jerk, like,
the overall motto for Time to Shine is, the way when I started was life lessons through sports. And so, I use it as a tool to, teach them about life, teach them responsibility. And, and we definitely have our sessions and stuff. And that's why I like what Callie does, Callie Elite Fitness. He does a good job of giving back to the community and stuff.
Yeah, shout out to Callie.
Yeah, so it's a good thing. But relationship. So I am divorced. Me and my ex-husband, we co-parent well for the most part. We do still have our little, we don't get along. But my relationship status, is that the question?
No, not as much as the status. Just like kind of like, I know you mentioned you were going through some of that stuff, and also that, you're juggling all these things, dealing with all this stuff. Like, how did you like deal with that whole like divorce on top of like some of the situations you were going through, and still being a mom on top of that? Because I know you're very heavily involved in your kids' lives and stuff.
Yeah. It was honestly, I tell everybody, and I have no problem saying this, like my husband, he's the one that filed for divorce. I was still fighting for the marriage. He chose the person that, the latest person he had stepped out on me with, and they're getting married soon. It was very difficult because I was going through that, and he knew I was going through that, and he knew we were still, like, I was still trying to work on it. We were going to therapy. And I'm at a point now, I was very angry. Don't get me wrong. I was very angry, but I wasn't so angry to the point where I was going to be that bitter person to try to keep the kids away from him, or to ask him for a certain amount of money or anything, because I didn't need that. What I told him was like, if that's really, I got to the point where if that was really going to make him happy, us no longer being together, then that's fine. Our mediation and everything, it went fine. But I will say this, it definitely hurt. It a lot, because I mean, he's been there with a lot of what I've done, and it was, and even when we got divorced, a lot of people still didn't know we were divorced. He still lived with me for like a year. He just stayed on that side of the house. I stayed on this side of the house. We still co-parented, and then eventually he moved out. It was really hard, and I really felt like I lost like somebody that was so close to me that knows everything about me, and so it was definitely hard. But I will say this, and when we first got married, I didn't know how to be a wife. I didn't know what that entailed because I've never seen it. Like my mom and dad, they weren't married. My mom and my bonus dad, they were together, I want to say like 14 years, never got married. Again, an old Southern thing. We'll be together forever. We might not get married, but we'll be together forever. So I've never seen like a wife in a wife capacity because my mom, she worked a lot. And of course I'm gone, I'm doing school, all this other stuff. So I've never really got to see a lot of that. And what I was surrounded by growing up was not married couples, like people that had been together 30, 40, 50 years or anything. So I didn't know how to do it. When I finally figured out I didn't know how to do it, we had already been married 2 years. I actually went to my ex-husband's mom and I was just like, I need help because I don't know if I'm doing stuff right. I don't know what's going on. So she definitely helped me. And to this day, we're still close. I'm still close with all of his family. And I like that too. But I just had to like just ask for help. The same thing I used to do in the Army when I would go to a subject matter expert. If I didn't know how to do something, I'm like, let me go to an expert. So I went to mom and she would just tell me things. It would be like little things. She like, because cooking and cleaning is one thing, but it's another thing with like empowering your partner and making sure your partner, you're speaking their love language and you're doing little stuff for them. So even in the middle of the day, like she was like, just text him sometime and just be like, or if he looks good or if he smells good or something like that, like just remind them like they need just because gifts too. So I started incorporating a lot of that. So I feel like now I'm better equipped, but it sometimes you can always be well equipped, but it can be for the wrong person. So, but I did learn a lot. And even I think I had surgery in February 24th. And my ex-husband's aunt, which my aunt too, but it's his aunt. We were talking and I told her I had surgery. She was like, Mel, do you want me to come down there? I was like, well, I ain't gonna say no because I'm at home by myself. And then she was like, okay, I'm gonna come. She was like, I'm gonna get myself together. I'm gonna be on my way. And then she came down and she stayed 5 days, so it's still a great relationship. It just didn't work out between us. So I do still have great relationships with all of them. And I think it's just a part of not like dwelling on the fact that we didn't work out, just dwelling on the fact that we're both still here, we're both still parents, and us being complete parents. And I think that's so important. Like that bitter baby mama stuff, I hate it. Or bitter baby daddy stuff, because that's a real thing.
Oh yeah, it is.
But I mean, that's mature of both of y'all that you guys can put your kids first, and despite whatever happened, because 7 years is quite a while to where you know so much about that person. They become, you're everything when you're in a marriage. But for you guys to still be able to put that aside and have a level of maturity to put the kids first, that's really impressive. On top of your other accolades, PhD.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie though, it did take a minute, but a lot, like when I say a lot of people didn't know we were divorced, because I wasn't never like, like some people will put it all on social media or anything. Like no one ever knew when we were going through anything. And I truly believe in keeping your relationship in your relationship, because if we have an argument, let's say, and I tell my mom, after that argument, I'm gonna forgive you, but is my mom gonna forgive you? So I just try to keep people like out of it because it's us. So even after we got divorced, a lot of people didn't know. It's like a lot of people are still just finding out, like, we didn't know you were divorced. And I was like, yeah, we've been divorced for a minute now. But and even when we're together, David's best friend brother, brother's wife, we were talking because I was sending her some workout stuff. She was like, I just love the relationship y'all have. Like, even when we go to Kingston Sports or Baby Girl Sports, we sit by each other, like not next to each other, but he might sit on this bleacher, I sit on this bleacher, just close enough to talk. And, and we'll talk, but we'll laugh and joke and stuff. And she was just like, y'all just have a good relationship. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, you know, I still have love for him. He gave me something that no one else like in this world has ever given me. He gave me 2 beautiful children, you know, so, and I do have respect for him because he does an amazing job as a dad. But we just didn't work out. I don't think it was the right time. You know, if we would have met at a different time, different space, it may have been a little bit better, but you know, things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you though, Mel. You think, because you was like trying to conquer the world, because I know before you was mentioning like, you know, just having that upbringing, you were like, look, I'm going to become educated. Anything obstacle, I'm going to overcome that. You think that kind of had like some impact on the relationship, just, you know, kind of trying to do maybe too much also?
It did.
Okay.
And I know that now. But then it's like, I was a piss poor communicator for a while in my marriage. And it's not like communicating what I have to do or anything. It was like just communicating how he felt about me doing so much. So I know it did. And I mean, we've talked about it now. We did talk about it in therapy as well. But I don't want to say I didn't make time for him, but I didn't make time. Like I made time to like cook, clean, you know, have sex, whatever. But I didn't make time for like just us.
Mel had to squeeze that in.
Cook, clean sex.
Mel was like, I didn't go that far, people.
Cook, clean sex. I was like,
I didn't make time to just like do like special things for him or make him feel special. Or if like we had like every month, like what I incorporated later on in the marriage, but I think the damage had already been done, like the 21st of every month. And I would call it, well, what we named it was Bad Decision Day. But when we say bad decision, it wasn't a bad decision. Like we would just we go shopping, we go out to eat at an expensive place. We just like the whole day was just us. But that was later on in the marriage. We didn't do that before. Before it was just like, are you going to be in my game? Are you going to be there to support me coaching? Are you going to be there? And, you know, it wasn't so much about like us doing stuff together. So I know I like had a lot on my plate, and I was thinking more so like, you're my partner. You should be supporting me in what I'm doing more so than like, what do you need? Or what can I do to like, make sure that you're good? Am I speaking your language? You know, so it was selfish. And I now, mind you, I don't want to make it seem like that I'm telling anybody, don't go get educated, don't go for your dreams or anything. But when you have a partner, remember they're important too. And then when, you know, we had kids, it was like,
even more time.
Me, then him. So I know it played a role.
I say it all the time. Kids are the ultimate cock blockers.
Absolutely. So it was different, but I know it got in the way because it's a lot because like some days when I was in season, I would be working like 12 to 16 hours a day. And then I'm coming home, like I'm doing meal prep to make sure you have food, but I'm coming home just in time. I'm fixing dinner, getting the kids ready for bed. Then I might have to study. I might have to take a test. I might have to do assessment. Then let's just go to bed and do it. And I felt like that was enough, but it wasn't. Because I wasn't nurturing him as, you know, the head of the household, as my man, as my supporter, my biggest fan. So I think it's important. You have to nurture that relationship too. You have to make space and time for that relationship, even if you have to step back or slow down on stuff that you're doing.
No, that's deep. Thanks for that accountability. But it is a 2-lane road because, you know, if somebody is like, I would say, you know, just in defense for you, if somebody is out there, you know, trying to uplift their family, you do got to recognize and be aware, you know, the contribution that they are doing because, you know, time is limited on both sides and stuff. So it's just like, I think there's a balance on both sides where you do got to be aware of somebody sacrificing for the family, trying to uplift them and stuff like that. So you can't take 100% of all that.
Yeah, no, I don't, because and I told him, I was like, you knew what I was doing when you like met me and when you married me. Like when you met me and married me, I was coaching a men's team overseas and I was playing on a team Like, so you knew I was already busy. So I was like, I didn't know what else he wanted me to do. But like I said, my communication was bad. I didn't know how to speak to him to actually get him to talk to me, because I was rather aggressive.
So do you think like a lot of people, like, especially when you get in relationships young, they try to like conform that person instead of, like you said, recognizing, like, example, what you just said, you were coaching and all that. People got to get better at like understanding if they really are built for that and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it was certain things that it was certain non-negotiables for me. Like, of course, I was still gonna be active duty Army. I was not gonna quit my position. I'm working with 82nd. I liked what I was doing, and that was.
Oh, you said 82nd Airborne?
Yes.
Yeah, I was out there jumping out them planes and stuff.
That's what my hip hurt now. but you know, so it was just like certain things that I was like, this is like, and it's like I went into the relationship with like 5-year plan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you
like,
go.
These are the goals I want to hit when I want to hit them. Instead of like, okay, I didn't go in with a we attitude. I went into it with a me attitude. So, and I can understand him on the same token taking that me attitude, you know, and it was just a little bit harder. And we were already in our marriage when we actually got to that we attitude. But I think when you get serious, when you go into like a marriage or whatever, like, people understand where you are when you meet them. But when you meet somebody and you get serious with them, you have to be flexible. And that's a big thing. You have to be flexible. You have to be willing to fit in that person's life as much as they're willing to fit into yours. So you have to make that space in that time. And it has to become a we, and it should become a we before you say I do. But literally, me and him got married on a lunch break. I was at work. I was still in uniform at 11:30. Went to the courthouse. They said whatever they're going to say.
You said on lunch break? So you had to go back to work after that, huh?
I went back to
work. Mel, I can't believe you did that. Mel was like, look, man, you got 20 minutes. Let's go.
And I ate lunch at my desk because it took so long. I'm like, it's not supposed to take this long. I got to go back to work. So, there was that.
But that's the thing, you know, when you have a certain level of ambition and you have so much that you have on your plate, you know, it's about time management. And even though to some people a wedding is like, oh my gosh, you got to plan this, spend all this money and all this preparation, like to somebody who's, you know, goal driven, you know, it's another day, and you know, you got to get it in where you can fit it in. So
yeah. And I never wanted a wedding. Even in the future, if I get married again, I don't think I want a wedding. That's a lot of money. And I think that goes back to like how I grew up, how poor I grew up. And it doesn't matter how much money I have now or how much money I generate now. I still don't see like the point in wasting it on stuff. Like I watched Say Yes to the Dress a lot. And those dresses are like $5,000 for something I'm gonna wear one time.
You talking my language, Mel. That's what I'm talking about. I'm gonna mess around, marry you, take your ass to McDonald's.
I'm telling you, like, I just don't get, like, I was like, if I get married again, like what we did was after we got married, then like a few months later, we had like just a barbecue, family came. It was good. You know,
oh, man, yeah, I had to do the barbecue.
And yeah, kickback. I love a good old kickback now.
That's what it is. That's a kickback.
A good old kickback. We played cards. We had drinks. We had food. It was good.
And it was a celebration. Everybody knew what they were there for.
Everybody know each other. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't like. Yeah, I'm still not frivolous. Like I'm not. You know, I don't spend a lot of money. Honestly, I really don't. And like I did spend money. I think I've said it before on other podcasts, like the dude that stole my car. My birthday should be Friday because I bought the little Mercedes. That was my weekend car, and he stole my car. So
and he done stole the Mercedes?
He stole the Mercedes, man. That was the first thing I really like, just spend something. I'm gonna get myself something, and he just stole my damn car.
That was a test. I taught you a lesson.
He was like, look at Mel flexing. Let me show her what's up.
I drive a Buick though. That's my.
Oh, you got a Buick?
I drive a Buick.
Okay.
I drive Big Baby. I drive a Buick. But I was just like, give me something nice on the week because the kids never rode in it or anything. I'm like on the week, which I still never really drove it. It was just it was a good deal. I'm like, let me just get something nice for me. It was used, not like any upgrades or nothing. Just a little Mercedes truck, like the 350, like the small one.
Yeah. Did you go with somebody?
Huh?
You went there by yourself, or you seen it?
Well, I went there by myself, but my uncle was on the phone with me who sells cars.
Okay, so your uncle confirmed that it was in fact a good deal.
Yes, I wasn't even going for myself. I was going with somebody, and then that car, I guess it had been on the lot for like 5 months, and so I was telling my uncle stuff, and so I did talk him down a lot. So yeah, it was a good deal. I did not pay a lot of. I think I didn't pay a lot for it. I won't tell you how much I paid for it. It was not a lot. I paid more.
So you got a deal, huh?
I paid more for my Buick. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, I finessed him.